In the heart of Africa lies Ethiopia, a land of soaring mountains, deep valleys, and stories carved in stone. Here, history is alive, woven into the landscape and the spirit of its people. Ethiopia's saga is ancient, a tale of kings, queens, faith, and fierce independence. For millennia, this nation stood resilient, a solitary kingdom in a continent of colonies. Its dramatic landscapes mirror its powerful past. We journey to the Horn of Africa, often called the cradle of humanity. Here, myth and history intertwine like the legend of the Queen of Sheba, whose union with King Solomon is said to have birthed a dynasty that shaped Ethiopia's destiny. This foundational story fuels national pride and identity. Ethiopia's epic is written across millennia, from the first human footsteps to the rise of empires. The soil itself holds the memory of our shared origins. Our journey begins in this remarkable, often misunderstood country. We'll uncover a history overlooked for too long, one filled with achievements, struggles, and surprises. We'll peel back the layers to reveal Ethiopia's soul, forged by ancient empires, fortified by faith, and defined by unbreakable spirit. Prepare to see a side of Africa you never knew existed. This is Ethiopia, a story that will change the way you see the world. Let's begin. Imagine a kingdom whose influence rivaled Rome and Persia, the Kingdom of Aksum. Long before Europe's rise, Aksum thrived as a center of trade and innovation. Its ports bustled with ships from distant lands exchanging silks, spices, and ivory. The rulers of Aksum were visionaries, expanding their domain and leaving a mark on history. King Ezana's embrace of Christianity in the 4th century made Aksum one of the world's first Christian states. This faith became a cornerstone of Ethiopian identity, inspiring art and unity. Aksum's giant stelae, colossal stone obelisks, stand as marvels of ancient engineering and symbols of a lost golden age. These monuments, funerary markers for kings, still awe visitors today. But like all empires, Aksum declined. Trade routes shifted and power faded into the highlands. Yet its legacy endured. Faith, tradition, and memory preserved in the mountains. The spirit of Aksum lived on, setting the stage for Ethiopia's next chapter. The story of Aksum is not an end, but a transformation. Its echoes shape Ethiopia's identity to this day. From ancient kings to modern times, the legacy continues. Let's see how this spirit survived and evolved. Onward. Ethiopia's history is a testament to resilience. It is the only African nation never colonized by Europe, a symbol of strength and pride. This defiance shaped a people deeply connected to their heritage. In the medieval era, the Solomonic dynasty claimed descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Under their rule, Ethiopia flourished. Art, architecture, and faith reached new heights. Monasteries clung to cliffs, churches were carved from living rock. The city of Lalibela stands as a miracle in stone, 11 monolithic churches sculpted into the earth connected by tunnels. This UNESCO site is a testament to vision, faith, and artistry. Ethiopia's story is just beginning. Tales of battles, emperors, and cultural richness await. Join us as we explore the vibrant tapestry of Ethiopia's past and present. The journey continues. Let's uncover more. Ethiopia's story begins before kings, at the dawn of humanity. In the Great Rift Valley, the earliest chapters of our human story are written in bone and stone. Many scientists believe this is the birthplace of our species. In 1974, the discovery of Lucy in the Afar region changed our understanding of human origins. Lucy, over 3 million years old, walked upright, a vital link in our ancestral chain. The Rift Valley has since revealed a wealth of fossils, tracing evolution back millions of years. Finds like Arti push our origins even further, cementing Ethiopia's status as the cradle of humankind. From here, Homo sapiens began their great migration, populating the globe. Every civilization traces its roots to these early pioneers from Ethiopia. Before culture or language divided us, our journey began here. Ethiopia is not just a nation, it's the birthplace of us all. Let's move forward in time. After our ancestors dispersed, civilization rose again in the Horn of Africa. Ancient Egypt traded with the mysterious land of Punt, likely in today's Ethiopia and Eritrea. Punt supplied gold, ebony, exotic animals, and precious resins for Egyptian rituals. This connection laid the groundwork for the Kingdom of Dumpt, which emerged around the 8th century BC. Dumpt built stone temples, developed irrigation, and created a unique script. The temple at Yeha, built without mortar, still stands as a testament to their skill. Dumont controlled trade routes, accumulating wealth and power. By the 4th century BC, Dumpta faded, but its legacy endured. It set the stage for the rise of Aksum, a new empire that would shape history. The foundations were laid, greatness was on the horizon. From Dumt's legacy, Aksum rose to power around the 1st century AD. With its port of Adulis, Aksum became a trade hub linking Rome, India, and Africa. Wealth from trade fueled grand ambitions and a cosmopolitan capital. Aksumite kings expanded their empire, even reaching southern Arabia. At its peak, Aksum was one of the world's 4 great powers. The kingdom minted its own coins, symbols of economic strength. Aksum's giant stelae, some over 20 meters tall, were monuments to power and engineering. The defining moment came when King Ezana adopted Christianity, making Aksum one of the first Christian nations. This faith shaped Ethiopian identity and culture for centuries. Christianity became a fortress, uniting the nation through isolation and conflict. The Golden Age of Aksum set the course for Ethiopia's enduring legacy. As Aksum faded, a new power emerged in the highlands, the Zagwe dynasty. Devout Christians, they moved the capital south. Driven by faith, the Zagwe kings sought to create a new holy Ethiopian empire. They transformed their capital into a new Jerusalem, carving astonishing churches from solid rock. King Lalibela oversaw this feat, creating monolithic churches connected by tunnels. This act of faith cemented their place in history, leaving a vibrant legacy of worship and pilgrimage. In 1270, Yakuno Amlak, claiming lineage from the Aksumite kings and King Solomon, overthrew the Zagwe rulers. This began the Solomonic Restoration, a dynasty that ruled for over 700 years. Under the Solomonic line, Ethiopia entered a cultural and literary renaissance. Monasteries became vibrant centers of scholarship, producing important literary works like the Kebra Nagast. Early Solomonic emperors ruled from a roving capital, allowing them to show their presence across the domain. This period deepened Ethiopia's unique Christian traditions, and the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church developed its own distinct practices. This golden age fortified the nation's cultural and spiritual identity. The Highland Renaissance, a period of relative peace and cultural flourishing, was shattered in the 16th century by a devastating conflict. The neighboring Adal Sultanate, led by the charismatic and brilliant military commander Imam Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi, known as Ahmad the Gran or the Left-Handed, launched a full-scale invasion of the Christian Empire. Armed with modern firearms supplied by the Ottoman Empire, Gran's forces swept through the highlands with terrifying speed. They were not merely conquering land, they were waging a holy war, destroying hundreds of churches, ancient monasteries, and priceless Christian relics in their path, seeking to extinguish Ethiopian Christianity entirely. For over a decade, the Ethiopian Empire was pushed to the brink of total collapse. The Solomonic Emperor was forced into a desperate retreat, fighting a guerrilla war from the most remote mountain strongholds. In this darkest hour, Ethiopia looked outward for help. They appealed to their fellow Christians in Europe, and a small but crucial Portuguese expedition, armed with their own muskets, arrived to aid the beleaguered emperor. The ensuing conflict was a clash of empires and technologies, with Portuguese musketeers fighting alongside Ethiopian warriors against the Ottoman-backed Adal forces. The war culminated in the Battle of Wainadaga in 1543, where Ahmed Gragan was finally defeated and killed. Although victorious, the empire was left scarred and weakened. The devastating war had revealed the vulnerability of a mobile capital. In the 17th century, Emperor Fasilides made a revolutionary decision. He would establish a permanent fortified capital city. He chose a strategic location in the highlands north of Lake Tana. a place that would become known as Gondar. This marked a major shift in Ethiopian imperial tradition. For the first time in centuries, the nation had a fixed center of power, a place where art, culture, and architecture could flourish under royal patronage in a secure environment, protected from the turmoil of the outside world. Gondar quickly blossomed into a magnificent city often called the Camelot of Africa. Emperor Fasilides and his successors built a stunning royal enclosure, the Fasil Gebi, a complex of fairy tale-like castles, palaces, and churches constructed from solid basalt stone. This unique architectural style blended Portuguese, Aksumite, and Indian influences, creating something entirely new and distinctly Ethiopian. The city became a vibrant hub for trade, music, and art, ushering in a new golden age known as the Gondarine period. This era of castle building represented a renewed sense of stability and confidence, a powerful statement that the Solomonic dynasty had weathered the storm and was defiantly planting its roots deep into the Ethiopian soil. The late 19th century was a dark period for the African continent as European powers descended upon Africa in a frenzy of conquest. This was the scramble for Africa. One nation, Ethiopia, stood as a beacon of defiance. Menelik II, a brilliant strategist, was consolidating power. He secured modern weapons, transforming his army. The primary threat came from Italy. They coerced Menelik into signing the Treaty of Wuchal. A blatant attempt to colonize his nation through a trick of translation enraged him. He publicly renounced the fraudulent treaty, declaring Ethiopia a sovereign nation. They would have to come and fight for it. The stage was set for a historic clash. The Italian government saw Menelik's defiance as an affront. General Oreste Baratieri was urged to crush the Ethiopian army, promising a swift victory. In 1895, a well-equipped Italian force marched into the Tigrayan highlands, underestimating their foe. Emperor Menelik II mobilized a vast army. They converged near Adwa, armed with modern rifles. On March 1, 1896, the battle began. The Italian army was utterly annihilated, a shocking defeat that resonated globally. Adwa became a symbol of black pride and resistance. Menelik II delivered a victory for Africa, defying colonialism. Following the triumphant victory at Adwa, Ethiopia secured its place as a unique and sovereign entity on the world stage, a solitary bastion of independence in a colonized continent. The legacy of Menelik II paved the way for the rise of one of the 20th century's most iconic figures, a man who would become a symbol of African dignity worldwide. In 1930, Ras Tafari Makonnen was crowned emperor, taking the regal name Haile Selassie I. His titles were grand and ancient, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. His coronation was a magnificent spectacle drawing international attention, and reinforcing Ethiopia's image as a timeless empire with deep biblical roots. Haile Selassie sought to continue Menelik's project of modernization, introducing a new constitution, developing infrastructure, and seeking to abolish feudal practices. However, his reign was soon overshadowed by a renewed threat from Italy. In 1935, the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini, seeking to avenge the humiliation of Adwa and build a new Roman Empire, launched a second, far more brutal invasion. This time, the Italians came with overwhelming force, employing tanks, a massive air force, and, in a horrifying war crime, chemical weapons. They indiscriminately sprayed mustard gas from the air onto Ethiopian soldiers and civilians alike, inflicting horrific suffering and death. Despite valiant resistance, the technologically superior and ruthless Italian army could not be stopped. They captured the capital, Addis Ababa, in 1936, and Haile Selassie was forced into exile. But he did not surrender. He journeyed to Geneva, Switzerland to make a direct and historic appeal to the League of Nations, the world's governing body. Standing before the assembly as a solitary, dignified figure, he delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century. He warned the world that the injustice and aggression being inflicted upon his people would, if left unchecked, eventually consume them all. "It is us today," he cautioned. "It will be you tomorrow." His plea, though eloquent and prophetic, fell on deaf ears. the great powers of the League of Nations, unwilling to risk a wider conflict with Mussolini's Italy, offered no meaningful help. They abandoned Ethiopia to its fate. Haile Selassie's warning, however, proved tragically accurate as the world soon plunged into the Second World War. Yet, his courageous stand in Geneva transformed him into a global icon of resistance against fascism and injustice. He became a living symbol of a nation that, even in its darkest hour of occupation, refused to have its spirit broken, holding on to the promise of a future liberation that would surely come. The Second World War engulfed the globe. In 1941, with the help of British and Allied forces, these brave patriots finally liberated their homeland. Haile Selassie made his triumphant return to Addis Ababa. The emperor accelerated his campaign of modernization, weakening the old feudal aristocracy. Addis Ababa became the headquarters of the newly formed Organization of African Unity. A new generation grew increasingly impatient, seeing the emperor as an autocrat. The winds of change were beginning to blow. The stage was being set for a violent and radical revolution. A devastating famine in 1973 sparked revolution. The Derg, a committee of military officers, seized control, deposing Emperor Haile Selassie. Led by Mengistu Haile Mariam, the Derg unleashed the Red Terror, eliminating opposition. Drought, civil war, and disastrous policies led to a devastating famine in the 80s. International aid poured in, but the Derg was accused of weaponizing starvation. After 17 years of terror, war, and famine, the regime was overthrown in 1991. Rebel fighters marched into Addis Ababa, forcing Mengistu into exile. The fall of the Derg in 1991 marked a turning point in Ethiopia's history. The EPRDF took control, promising peace and development. They recognized Eritrea's independence and introduced ethnic federalism. The new millennium brought transformation and ambitious development. The government invested in infrastructure and the economy grew rapidly. Addis Ababa transformed, symbolizing a nation determined to rise. However, this growth came at a political cost, with the government maintaining tight control. Protests demanding democracy shook the nation, leading to a shift. Abiy Ahmed became prime minister in 2018, launching reforms and making peace with Eritrea. This earned him the Nobel Peace Prize and signaled hope for a new beginning. Ethiopia is a vibrant tapestry of over 80 ethnic groups, each with unique languages and customs. At the heart of Ethiopian life is a profound sense of spirituality. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, one of the oldest Christian denominations, remains a dominant force. Islam also has a long history in Ethiopia, with a large portion of the population following the faith. Events like Timkat and Meskel are breathtaking spectacles, vibrant displays of the nation's soul. The culture of Ethiopia extends far beyond its religious ceremonies. It is found in the rhythms of its music, the movements of its dance, and the flavors of its food. Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee, and the beverage is treated with a reverence that is unmatched anywhere else in the world. The ceremony is a slow, deliberate, and social process. Meals are almost always a communal affair, shared from a single large platter. The foundation of nearly every meal is injera, a large, spongy sourdough flatbread with a slightly tangy taste. This dynamic interplay between tradition and modernity is what makes the nation's cultural tapestry so rich and compelling. It is a culture that continues to evolve while never forgetting where it came from. Our journey through Ethiopia's history has taken us across a vast landscape. From the dawn of humanity, we witnessed the rise and fall of empires, and stood on victorious fields. This is a history of immense weight. We have seen a nation brought to its knees, only to rise again. This is the central theme, an unbelievable capacity for resilience, yet its spirit has never been extinguished. This history shapes the present and informs the future. It is a constant presence as it forges its path forward. As we look at Ethiopia today, we see a country of incredible contrasts and dynamic change. This is a land of immense potential. The story of Ethiopia is far from over. The story of Ethiopia is, in many ways, the story of humanity itself, compressed into one nation. It is a narrative of origins, faith, conflict, and survival. challenging simplistic narratives about Africa. It demands our attention as a vital part of our shared global heritage. The rock-hewn churches, the ancient manuscripts, and the defiant spirit of its people are treasures that belong to the whole world. Ethiopia's history is a powerful testament that greatness has always been a part of the African experience. Thank you for joining us on this incredible voyage through time. The story of this ancient land deserves to be told, and more importantly, it deserves to be heard.